June 23rd, 1944. 6:45 in the evening. Camp Hearne, Texas. Oberg gave writer Klaus. Waber couldn't contain his laughter as he read the work assignment bulletin announcing that tomorrow he and 20 other German prisoners would be escorted to town for jobs at something called Joe's Diner. The very concept struck him as hilariously American. "À dîner," Waber announced to his fellow Afrika Korps veterans, his voice filled with amused condescension. The Americans think cooking food requires an entire building dedicated to such simple work. Typical American inefficiency. They probably serve tasteless slop and callot cuisine because they have no understanding of proper German culinary traditions. Failed while Hans Richter, a former chef from Munich, who had cooked for Wehrmacht officers in North Africa, joined the mockery with professional authority. American food is famous throughout Europe for being bland, over-processed, and prepared without any respect for culinary artistry. They probably boil everything until it tastes like cardboard, and serve it with their terrible American coffee that resembles dirty water. The barracks erupted in knowing chuckles. These veteran soldiers had heard stories about American military rations, uninspiring creations that emphasized utility over flavor. They had observed American eating habits during capture and transport, quick functional meals without the ceremony, and craftsmanship that characterized proper German dining culture. Unteroffizier Wilhelm Hoffmann, who had worked in his family's traditional German restaurant before the war, shook his head and mocked sympathy. The poor Americans probably don't understand that proper cuisine requires centuries of cultural refinement and culinary knowledge passed down through generations. They eat quickly and carelessly because they have no appreciation for food as art and cultural expression. What none of these confident prisoners understood was that they were about to encounter a culinary revolution that would challenge every assumption they held about American food culture and industrial innovation. Within days, these men who had dismissed American cuisine as primitive would discover flavors, techniques, and dining experiences that redefined their understanding of what food could be. Thelison in American ingenuity was about to begin. June 24, 1944, 8:15 in the morning. Joe's Diner, Main Street, Hearne, Texas. The army truck carrying 20 German PSWs pulled up in front of a modest building with large windows and a cheerful neon sign advertising Joe's Diner, best food in Texas. Klaus stepped down from the truck, still expecting to find a crude establishment serving poor-quality food, town-discriminating American customers. What he encountered immediately challenged his preconceptions. The interior was spotlessly clean, efficiently organized, and filled with the aroma of cooking food that smelled unlike anything Weber had experienced. The kitchen, visible through a service window, gleamed with stainless steel equipment and bustled with activity that demonstrated systematic organization and professional technique. Joe Mitchell, the diner owner and head cook, greeted the German prisoners with characteristic American friendliness. "Welcome to Joe's, fellas. We serve the best American food in the county. Steaks, fried chicken, and the finest hamburgers this side of Dallas. You'll be helping with prep work, cleaning, and learning how real American cooking gets done." Weber's attention immediately focused on the unfamiliar term. "Hamburgers," he asked in halting English. "America's greatest contribution to world cuisine," Joe replied with obvious pride. Ground beef formed into patties, grilled to perfection, and served on fresh buns with all the fixings. It's simple, delicious, and purely American. You fellas will understand once you taste one. The concept seemed impossibly crude to Weber's trained understanding of proper cuisine. Ground meat formed into crude patties and served on bread. This represented exactly the kind of unsophisticated American approach to food that German culinary training had taught him to expect from a nation lacking centuries of refined food culture. But Joe Mitchell was about to provide education in American culinary innovation. The first lesson came during morning preparation, as Weber watched Joe select fresh ground beef from their restaurant's refrigerated storage. The meat quality was exceptional, well marbled, properly aged, and ground fresh daily using equipment that maintained texture and flavor impossible with manual preparation methods. Weber had expected to find cheap, low-quality ingredients prepared with minimal skill and technique. Instead, he discovered that Joe sourced his beef from local ranchers who raised cattle specifically for restaurants, ensuring meat quality that exceeded what most German restaurants could obtain even during peacetime. The preparation techniques challenged Weber's assumptions about American cooking methods. Joe didn't simply throw raw meat into crude patties, but carefully seasoned the beef, formed patties with precise thickness for optimal cooking, and used grilling techniques that demonstrated genuine culinary expertise. Hans Richter, assigned to kitchen preparation, found himself learning cooking methods that contradicted his professional training about American food preparation. Joe's techniques for grilling, seasoning, and timing showed systematic understanding of flavor development, texture control, and presentation standards. "Herr Joe," RTO asked hesitantly, his professional curiosity overcoming his prejudices, "where did you learn such cooking techniques? This is not the simple American food preparation I expected." Joe smiled knowingly. "Been cooking professionally for 20 years. Learned from chefs who came from all over. Italian immigrants, German settlers, French cooks, Mexican traditions. American cuisine isn't simple because we lack skill. It's refined because we combine the best techniques from every tradition and improve them through innovation." The revelation struck RTO immediately. American cooking wasn't primitive because Americans lacked culinary knowledge. It was evolutionary because American cooks had access to techniques, ingredients, and traditions from multiple cultures, allowing them to create new approaches that exceeded individual national cuisines. But their transformation began when the German prisoners tasted their first American hamburger. Joe prepared demonstration hamburgers for the German workers during their lunch break, wanting them to understand the food they would be helping to prepare. The burgers were perfectly grilled, assembled with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickles, and served on toasted buns with French fries and cold Coca-Cola. Weber bit into his first hamburger, expecting to confirm his assumptions about American food quality. Instead, he experienced flavors that challenged everything he thought he knew about cuisine and food preparation. The beef was perfectly cooked, juicy, flavorful, and seasoned with subtle spice combinations that enhanced rather than masked the meat's natural taste. The fresh vegetables provided texture and flavor contrasts that complemented the beef brilliantly. The toasted bun held everything together while contributing its own taste and texture elements. Most shocking of all, the combination worked. The hamburger wasn't crude simplicity. It was sophisticated flavor engineering that achieved complex taste experiences through careful selection and preparation of simple, high-quality ingredients. Wilhelm Hofmann, tasting his first hamburger with the analytical approach of a trained chef, found himself reconsidering fundamental assumptions about American cuisine. "This is not simple food," he admitted to his fellow prisoners. "This is engineered food, every component selected and prepared to contribute specific flavors and textures that combine into something greater than individual parts." The French fries provided another revelation. These weren't simply fried potatoes, but carefully selected potato varieties cut to optimal thickness, fried at precisely controlled temperatures to achieve perfect texture, crispy exterior, fluffy interior, and seasoned with salt combinations that enhanced flavor without overwhelming. The Coca-Cola completed the experience with carbonated sweetness that complemented the savory flavors while cleansing the palate between bites. The entire meal represented systematic understanding of flavor combinations, texture contrasts, and dining satisfaction achieved through American innovation and industrial precision. Over the following days, German prisoners working at Joe's Diner discovered that hamburgers represented a broader American approach to food that emphasized accessibility, quality, and innovation over traditional ceremony and cultural restriction. American diners served excellent food quickly and efficiently to working people who needed good meals without elaborate preparation or expensive presentation. The focus was in flavor, nutrition, and satisfaction rather than social status or cultural conformity. The democratic aspect of American dining challenged German understanding of food as cultural hierarchy. In Germany, quality cuisine required proper restaurants, formal service, and social status. American diners provided excellent food to anyone with modest money, regardless of social position or cultural background. German prisoners observed American customers from all social levels: farmers, factory workers, business owners, professionals, eating together in the same establishment, and receiving identical service quality. Food access was determined by individual choice rather than social position or state allocation. The efficiency of American diner operations amazed German prisoners accustomed to slower, more formal dining procedures. Joe's kitchen could prepare dozens of hamburgers simultaneously, using equipment and techniques that maintained quality while serving customers quickly and courteously. Klaus Weber, learning American cooking methods, discovered systematic approaches to food preparation that achieved better results with less labor than traditional German techniques. American equipment, ingredients, and methods combined efficiency with quality in ways German restaurants hadn't achieved. The ingredient quality available to American diners exceeded what German restaurants could obtain even during peacetime. Fresh vegetables, high-quality meat, dairy products, and specialty items arrived daily through distribution systems that maintain freshness and variety impossible in German food supply networks. American industrial food processing provided consistent, safe, and flavorful ingredients that enabled restaurant quality impossible through traditional preparation methods alone. Mass production techniques actually improved rather than degraded food quality through better preservation, processing, and distribution. By July 1944, German prisoners working in American diners and restaurants had gained comprehensive understanding of American food culture that challenged every assumption they held about cuisine, dining, and cultural sophistication. Their letters home described American food experiences that German families found difficult to believe. How could American cuisine, dismissed by Nazi propaganda as crude and tasteless, provide dining satisfaction that exceeded German restaurant experiences? If you're amazed by how a simple hamburger revolutionized German prisoners' understanding of American culture, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have countless more incredible stories of cultural transformation that changed hearts and minds forever. Back to our story of culinary revolution. The broader culinary education continued, as German prisoners discovered that hamburgers represented just one example of American food innovation that combined simplicity with sophistication, accessibility with quality, and tradition with innovation. American cuisine drew from multiple cultural traditions: German, Italian, French, Mexican, Asian, while developing uniquely American approaches that improved upon traditional methods through technological innovation and cultural synthesis. Hans Richter, working alongside American cooks from various ethnic backgrounds, learned techniques and flavor combinations that exceeded his formal German culinary training. American kitchens became laboratories for culinary innovation rather than museums preserving traditional methods. The abundance of ingredients available to American cooks enabled experimentation and creativity impossible under German rationing and supply limitations. American chefs could access spices, vegetables, meats, and specialty items from global sources, while German cooks worked with increasingly limited local ingredients. The technology used in American kitchens: refrigeration, precise temperature control, specialized equipment-enabled cooking techniques, and food safety standards that exceeded German restaurant capabilities. American industrial innovation had revolutionized food preparation and service. Wilhelm Hofmann, comparing American and German restaurant operations, discovered that American establishments achieve better results with less labor through systematic application of efficiency principles and technological innovation. American food service represented industrial evolution applied to culinary arts. The social aspects of American dining challenged German understanding of food culture and social hierarchy. American Restaurants serve quality food to diverse customers without social restrictions or cultural conformity requirements that characterized German dining establishments. American food culture emphasized individual choice, personal preference, and customer satisfaction over traditional authority and cultural prescription. Diners could order according to personal taste rather than social expectation or cultural mandate. The speed of American food service reflected broader American values of efficiency, innovation, and respect for individual time and convenience. Americans had developed dining methods that provided quality food quickly because they valued both culinary satisfaction and personal efficiency. German prisoners working in American food establishments discovered systematic approaches to customer service that emphasized voluntary satisfaction rather than obligatory compliance. American food service workers succeeded through providing value rather than demanding difference. The economic principles underlying American food service revealed market systems that encourage quality, innovation, and customer satisfaction through voluntary exchange rather than state control or cultural mandate. Restaurants succeeded by satisfying customers rather than following government directives. Competition between American restaurants drove continuous improvement in food quality, service efficiency, and customer value in ways that state-controlled German food systems couldn't achieve. Market forces encouraged innovation that benefited consumers through better food at lower prices. The pricing of American restaurant food amazed German prisoners accustomed to rationing and scarcity. Quality meals cost modest portions of American wages, making good food accessible to working people rather than luxury reserved for economic elites. American workers could afford restaurant meals regularly, while German workers with steady employment rarely had access to restaurant dining, even during peacetime prosperity. American abundance extended to commercial food service that provided dining options for ordinary citizens. The hamburger had become a symbol of American food culture that represented democratic access to quality cuisine. Industrial innovation applied to culinary arts, and cultural synthesis that created new traditions from multiple sources. Klaus Weber, writing to his family in August 1944, attempted to explain the transformation in his understanding. The American hamburger is not simple food. It is sophisticated engineering that achieves complex flavors through careful selection and preparation of quality ingredients. American cuisine represents innovation rather than tradition, synthesis rather than purity, and accessibility rather than exclusivity. The cultural implications extended beyond individual food items to systematic American approaches to innovation, quality, and social organization. American food culture reflected broader values of efficiency, inclusiveness, and continuous improvement that challenged German understanding of cultural superiority and social hierarchy. German prisoners discovered that American crudeness was actually sophisticated simplicity that achieved better results through innovative methods rather than traditional authority. American approaches worked better because they prioritized effectiveness over ceremony. The industrial applications of American food innovation demonstrated systematic capabilities that extended far beyond individual restaurants to comprehensive food production, distribution, and service networks that supplied quality food to entire populations. American food processing industries, agricultural systems, and distribution networks operated with efficiency and scale that German food systems couldn't match even during peacetime. The hamburger represented industrial civilization applied to basic human needs. By autumn 1944, German prisoners working throughout American food service had gained comprehensive understanding of American food culture, industrial innovation, and social values that challenged fundamental assumptions about cultural sophistication and national capability. The knowledge gained through hamburger preparation and American dining experiences provided German prisoners with practical understanding of American innovation, efficiency, and quality that exceeded theoretical descriptions or propaganda presentations. The systematic nature of American food abundance From agricultural production through industrial processing to restaurant service revealed integrated economic and social systems that achieve better results than German approaches across every measurable category. German prisoners began questioning whether German cultural traditions actually represented superior methods or were instead limitations that prevented German achievement of American-level innovation and abundance. The comparison suggested that American lack of tradition was actually freedom to innovate and improve rather than cultural deficiency. Americans achieved better results because they weren't constrained by traditional methods that prevented improvement and adaptation. The social implications extended beyond food preferences to fundamental questions about cultural authority, individual choice, and social organization. American food culture represented individual freedom applied to daily life decisions in ways that German society didn't permit. The experience of choosing meals based on personal preference rather than social prescription provided German prisoners with practical understanding of democratic principles that extended beyond political rights to cultural and economic relationships. As winter approached, German prisoners working in American food service had gained knowledge and experience that fundamentally challenged their understanding of culture, innovation, and social organization through direct exposure to American food culture and dining practices. The hamburger had become more than food. It represented American innovation, democratic values, and cultural synthesis that achieve results exceeding traditional European approaches through systematic application of freedom and individual choice to basic human needs. If you want to discover more incredible stories of cultural transformation and the power of simple innovations to change worldviews forever, subscribe now. We're constantly exploring these remarkable human moments when food, culture, and freedom intersect to create lasting change. Now let's see the lasting impact of this culinary revolution. The long-term consequences of German prisoners' exposure to American food culture extended far beyond individual dining preferences to systematic influence on post-war German attitudes toward innovation, cultural change, and social organization. Former prisoners became advocates for American food service methods, culinary innovation, and restaurant approaches that influenced German food culture development during Reconstruction and modernization. Their practical knowledge of American methods provided credible testimony about innovation possibilities. Klaus Weber, repatriated to Bavaria in 1946, established Germany's first American-style diner using principles learned during captivity. His restaurant introduced hamburgers, efficient service, and democratic dining approaches that influenced German food service development throughout the 1950s. Americans taught me that good food doesn't require social ceremony or cultural restrictions, Weber explained to German business associations. Quality and efficiency serve customers better than tradition and hierarchy. American methods work because they prioritize customer satisfaction over cultural conformity. The knowledge transfer influenced German approaches to food service, restaurant management, and culinary innovation as former prisoners applied American techniques to German food establishments. Their success demonstrated practical advantages of American methods over traditional German approaches. Hans Richter, returning to Munich with comprehensive knowledge of American cooking methods, helped modernize German restaurant operations through American efficiency principles and service innovations. His techniques influenced German culinary education and professional cooking standards. The Marshall Plan's commercial assistance programs were facilitated by former prisoner knowledge of American business methods and positive attitudes toward American food industry. Practices Germans who had experienced American food culture provided educated advocates for American commercial approaches. The psychological foundation for German consumer culture development was partially established through former prisoner testimonies about American food abundance, choice, and quality achieved through innovation and competition rather than tradition and control. The social implications influenced German attitudes toward cultural change, individual choice, and innovation that supported democratic development and modernization during the Weird's economic miracle of the 1950s and 60s. German food culture gradually incorporated American innovations, hamburgers, fast food concepts, efficient service methods while maintaining traditional elements, creating synthesis that reflected broader German adaptation to modern democratic and commercial practices. The broader historical significance lay in demonstrating how simple, cultural exchanges could achieve systematic transformation of attitudes and practices that influenced national development and international relationships. The economic implications were substantial, as former prisoners became early adopters of American food service methods, contributing to German restaurant modernization and commercial development that facilitated integration into Western economic systems. Today, hamburgers are ubiquitous in German food culture, with McDonald's operating over 1,400 restaurants throughout Germany. The transformation from cultural rejection to popular acceptance reflects broader German adaptation to American innovations and values. The German-American Culinary Exchange Foundation maintains archives documenting former prisoner contributions to German food culture development based on American methods learned during captivity. Their influence shaped modern German dining practices and restaurant industry standards. A prominent display features testimony from Klaus Weber's autobiography describing his transformation. I bit into my first American hamburger expecting to confirm German cultural superiority. I discovered instead that Americans had created something new and better through innovation rather than tradition. That hamburger changed my understanding of culture, progress, and human possibility. From confident dismissal of American primitive food to systematic adoption of American culinary innovations, German prisoners experienced transformation that influenced post-war German cultural development and modernization. The German prisoners who discovered hamburgers had encountered more than American food. They had experienced systematic demonstration of innovation, quality, and cultural synthesis that challenged fundamental assumptions about tradition, authority, and progress. Their story demonstrates how simple human experiences can achieve profound cultural transformation through direct exposure to superior methods and alternative approaches that reveal new possibilities for human organization and achievement. The revolution in German understanding was written in the flavors of American hamburgers that proved cultural innovation could exceed traditional methods through systematic application of freedom, efficiency, and respect for individual choice in the most basic human activities. Please